weather, and I'm not sure how long I'll be able to run tonight, but
do a con save.
Yeah.
I already failed it, that's for sure.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And it's the worst weather in Germany right now for that, huh?
Yeah.
How's the heat over there?
Bad. It's 38.
Shit. I'm just glad my ventilator arrived on time.
Well, I don't have any such luxury. Anyway, should we get started?
Yes.
Yep.
We're live.
Okay. The sound is playing. Oh, there it is. The doctor died, struck down by a clawed apparatus of some sort, some terrifying creation of Count Karamark for sure, that was guarding the main entrance, as it seems. And guard it did. An unlucky, well, for it was lucky, but for the doctor it was unlucky. An unlucky attack struck him down in the prime of his best years of research. And he is currently lying on the floor in a pool of blood that has spilt all over the wooden floorboards of this great hall that you find yourselves in. Next to him, the pile of junk that the apparatus was, or that once was the apparatus. And as you're still grappling with the idea that your dear friend has apparently moved on to Pharasma's domain, the door opens all of a sudden. The one right next to the stairs. I'll actually take you to that map that we were on, just so you get a sense of what I'm talking about. So this door opens. And a broom comes dancing in, wobbling back and forth. And a bucket right next to it, as if held by invisible hands. The bucket filled with soapy water, and the bucket puts itself down right next to the pool of blood, and the broom or the mop starts to clean the floor.
All right.
This goes on for a little bit. I don't know what is your reaction to it? Do you just let it do its work?
I mean, it'd be a bit rude to interrupt it, no?
Wait. Evelyn's kind of standing there in shock that the doctor has been slaughtered, and she's still like kind of swallows and is trying to get her head around that, and then this starts happening, and there's just a little bit of like horror on her face, but also it's a little ingenious, and she's kind of like, she's a little numb.
Yeah, I just have that scene from Dread movie playing out from the very beginning, where the tiny droids start just mopping out the blood after the massacre. So apparently this person had the same utility in mind.
Geier will approach the remains of the doctor and start, shooing the broom away and taking his own role as the designated gravedigger and keeper of the dead. Like, off with you, you cleaning implement! It's a job for people!
Okay, so you kind of shove it away with your shovel,
Yeah.
and
Off!
it stops. What it's doing? Just sits there for a moment, and then it turns its attention towards the pile of junk, and starts to push it all into one corner of the room in a more tidy fashion.
Is there a table or couch or anything like that in the room?
No, nothing like that. There's just a fireplace that is lit, actually. Just the stairs rising to your right, and the huge portrait above the fireplace. No furniture.
Uh, uh, I believe he's dead.
Shh, we have to conduct the rites. It is disrespectful otherwise.
Right.
He was a
You're
brave,
right.
if strange man, but still deserving of rest in this life or the next.
Well, it does not have to be the next yet.
Why are you talking about bringing him back, as we did with Lady Evelyn?
Yes, why not?
Lady Evelyn, if I recall, that was not what you expected from the afterlife, and perhaps a bit of a traumatizing experience. Do you feel like you want to put him through what you went through?
Oh, yeah, certainly, of course. Why wouldn't I?
Because we are dealing with undeath here.
Well, it seemed an inconvenience that he was perfectly willing to put myself through in order to achieve his goals. He has proven a rather useful tool so far. I honestly don't know how much further we'll get into this mansion without him.
Yeah, well, I do believe Pharasma would not think very highly of what we've been doing as of late.
Well, Pharasma can think whatever she wants. We have a job to do, and as she's saying that, she's kind of stepping over to like inspect the remains of that construct. A brutally efficient device, I have to say. Does she see anything about it that's interesting?
The construct?
Yeah. She kind of like
I mean,
deliberately steps away and like looks away from Aronax's corpse.
mm-hmm. It depends on what you would consider interesting. It's a weird contraption, since it's not just made of metal and wire, although that's what it's predominantly made of, but it also has some organic parts. However, they don't seem to be really functional or serve any particular purpose, and they're basically just texturing the mechanical frame. And yeah, it's kind of, its hands are just made of these sharp claw-like blades with sharp points. And give me a perception check. And you remember to look at the spot where it was when you entered, under the staircase. And you remember that it suddenly frantically started scratching when you got close. And you look on the floor, and you find that it had scratched the word hell into the floor.
Like HELL.
Yes.
And what remind me what connotations that has exactly in the Galarian universe?
Well, hell is an actual place.
Yeah.
It's a plane of existence. It's like there's the abyss where the demons live, and there's hell where the devils live.
Right.
So if you're going to enter an infernal pact, you would usually summon a devil from the depths of hell with a capital H, which is a real place.
And there's like 9 levels to it, I think.
Yep.
That's possible. Something like that.
As Asmodeus is the king, though, right?
Yep.
Of hell.
Yes, Asmodeus is the devil, the ruler of all the devils.
Okay. She points this out to Emaírel and Geier. She says, "Oh, leave the doctor for a moment. We'll come back to him. What do you all think this means?"
Yeah, I do not believe he's going anywhere. Hell. And can Geier do on knowledge religion or
It's actually
Arcana?
knowledge planes in that case.
Yeah, I got a rank there.
Or I mean, you could also give me. Well, if you have a rank, that's great. But you can also give me a knowledge religion because there's certainly some religious facts about that as well.
Relative religion.
Okay.
Damn, guys, you're rolling.
Okay, hell. Hell is the domain of the Dark Prince Asmodeus himself, who's the most powerful of the 9 archdevils, and a true god in the sense of being a divine being that can grant spells and everything. He is a lawful evil deity, and he's his areas of concern are tyranny, slavery, pride, and contracts. Among his worshippers are usually slavers, bureaucrats, and tyrants. All sorts of other facts. I mean, you could probably talk quite some time about that, but you don't really see a connection to this apparatus.
But it was smart enough to actually write something.
Is there anything special about the spot of the floor that it's scratched on?
No, nothing about the spot. However, it scratched it facing you, so that the letters would be, have the bottom part pointed towards the door where you came in.
If I were to hazard a guess, I'd say that this construct was animated by something that had some sort of obligation. It was being bound in some way, but do constructs even have souls? Actually, I would assume that's something. Would that be knowledge that they would have, that we would have?
You can give me knowledge arcana if you have.
Geier, when you summon one of those skeletons of yours, do you know exactly what happens to animate it?
Not entirely sure. It's just my blood begins to boil and it connects with them somehow.
Yeah, but I mean, Evelyn, you know that constructs don't have a soul. They are just automatons. They are animated by raw magic, essentially, and they usually single-mindedly carry out a task that they were sort of programmed with. However, Emaírel and Geier, you don't necessarily think that it's impossible to conceive a soul being granted to a construct. Powerful magic could probably do it because there is some vital energy in a construct that makes it move and animates it. And if that were to be amplified, then it could obtain something that more closely resembles a soul. Or in other words, there's a spell for that.
Ah. So, Lady Evelyn, this is very different from what I've experienced as of late. When I'm dealing with reanimation, it's usually a creature that was at some point alive. But this deals entirely with constructs, with things that were never supposed to be alive to begin with. It's a entirely new science, I guess the good doctor would have called it if he were still with us.
I see. Well, it seems someone has been conducting some powerful magic in these halls, and I'm inclined to believe that may have been our host, Herr Keramark. However, well, if his construct is still here and it was in fine condition, then perhaps his walls have not been penetrated as we feared. However, it seems that if we are to penetrate his defenses, we are in a bit of a tight spot. I mean, a construct such as this, I have no power over, and Geier, you're, well, you're
You
your
can
own
say it.
special brand of incompetent. Emaírel, you seem hurt. Do you think you could continue on as you are?
Well, I would much rather bring back the doctor. We'll need his help.
We do need to figure out what we're going to do with his body. We cannot just leave him here. If we are bringing him back, might as well do it now, or else I must conduct the rites.
It will take time to return to Lepidstadt. I don't know if there are any other towns nearby with a potent enough cleric to perform the rites necessary. And I believe that the resurrection must be conducted within relatively short order, so perhaps we ought to abandon our current course and see if we can take the steps necessary to return the doctor to us, assuming he's willing, of course.
What do you mean if he's willing? Did you have a choice when we brought you back?
I felt a calling, and I chose to heed it. I think if we were to treat the doctor in similar fashion, he would face a decision quite like mine.
Yes, I very much doubt that the doctor would like to end his life so abruptly and, if avoidable, remain so. In that case, I see no other choice of action but to carry him back and see if we can reanimate him. To the best of our abilities, of course.
I was hoping to meet those parents that he spoke of so often. They seemed like interesting folk, and it would be quite awkward to do it under these circumstances. So, yes, perhaps best to see if we can revive him. assume he will prove more useful in the future than this staff. Oh, I think it ought to be an even trade, more or less.
Well, we can discuss financing on the way.
Of course. Let's not linger here, lest some elemental come sweeping in to drown us all while we chat.
Okay, so you decide to head back to Lippichstadt?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. So the ride back, lady, or first, as you leave, give me one more perception checks from everyone. Okay, so Evelyn and Geier don't really notice it, but Emaírel, just before you close the door behind you, you just at the edge of your hearing, hear an unsettling sound coming from somewhere deeper within the mansion, the manse. The sound of scratching, just like the claws of this apparatus scratched over the floor. You hear more.
So probably more of the same.
More of the same, possibly. And it makes you shiver to think of that. Another one of these creations, just like the one that already slaughtered your friend. You close the doors behind you, and you make your way back through the gatehouse towards Lady Evelyn's coach and her new, very trusty driver, who takes you back to Lippichstadt. It's a long ride. It's about 24 miles down the mountain, winding mountain path, and through the swamps of the Dippelmere swamp, or at least to the edge of it. And finally, early the next morning, you wake up to the sound of the coach's wheels rattling over the cobblestones of Lippichstadt. You direct the driver to head for Gravecharge, I assume?
Indeed.
Before that, I think we need to hit the market.
Yeah, we'll need the
Oh, okay.
cash. We'll need the diamond dust and the cash to make this happen.
Okay. So, yeah, the markets are just setting up. The shops are just opening up. But it should be easy enough to get what you need. Did you already figure out what you want to sell?
Well, Emaírel is going to point out that the magic dagger that Lady Evelyn just handed him
Okay.
should cover 4,000 GPs worth of gold. I don't know if that staff sounds useful to either of you.
Hardly of use to me. Frankly, I'm not even sure if it works properly. What is
What
it?
do
A
you think,
staff
Geier?
of
Staff of
the
swarming
staff
insects.
of swarming insects.
Mm-hmm.
We picked
Well-
that up last time, Alejandro.
That sounds
Although,
something interesting. That sounds like might be useful for when all my necromantic spells are, not appropriate. But if it's worth selling to bring back the doctor, then Geier will have no objection.
Okay, let me just do the math real quick here. 7 charges are left. So you get 8,000 on the market for the staff.
I will remove it from my inventory.
And then you make your way to Grave Charge.
Yep.
Okay. Morning service has just closed, and Father Sidaimoikis, as he is called, Sidaimoikis, has retreated to change out of his ceremonial garbs into more practical daytime robes. And you wander around the central dome of Lepidstad's Cathedral of Pharasma, looking at the army of skeletal horses that races across the facade and around the dome, ever rising in a course similar to the spiral symbol of Pharasma, as they slowly ascend into her ethereal domain. You read some of the inscriptions that tell you about the noble deeds of Baldrumon Filas, brother in arms of Soividia Ustaf, the two legendary knights that battled against the dragon Kulsither, fighting off its poison and wrest the land from savagery, basically ushering in the Usalav as we know it today. And as you marvel at these religious sculptures and inscriptions, a shadow falls over the skeletons, and you hear the father's voice behind you. You know, they say that the lance of Vilas still pins shut the jaws of Kulsither down there in the ossuary, and he points to the mass grave just in front of the pulpit where he had given the service just moments ago.
Sounds like a very important relic.
Indeed, it is. It is a symbol of the triumph of civilization over savagery.
They say this, but pardon, I mean no disrespect, Father. Have you ever laid eyes upon it yourself?
The ossuary is a holy place, and it is not for us to open it up and inspect such things. I have my belief to hold on to.
Of course you do.
But anyway, I'm sure you're not here for theological debates. I see that once again one of your friends is in need of the Lady of the Grave's saving touch.
Indeed, he is.
He sighs and he says, I hope that our petition will be heard. Shall I prepare the rites?
Please.
And so he takes the diamond dust and the donation. So please mark that off from your party stash. And he prepares a space near the altar where the body of the doctor is placed. And he sprinkles the diamond dust around in a spiral pattern on his body and around the altar. And he invokes the prayer that you remember from last time. Not the words, but the sensation of it. This weird, ambivalent feeling of life and death at the same time, truly standing on the border of these two realms. And then he finishes, and nothing happens. And he looks bewildered. I don't understand this. It didn't work. I believe the lady has not heard our plea. That's unusual.
Does that happen often?
I don't recall any time it happened. And then he suddenly notices something on the doctor's neck. And he reaches, pulls away his collar a little bit. And you see that his skin is covered in this lattice work of kind of dark reddish lines. It's as if you could see the outline of every cell of his body. And he says, What is that? Is that what killed him? He asks you.
He was struck by a creature in combat.
I thought so. I see the wounds, but this is most strange. I think I will have to send for a second opinion, he says. Wait here. And he walks away, leaving you in total confusion. And he lets you wait for quite some time before he finally comes back. And you can overhear him explaining something to an elderly gentleman with a white beard, balding white hair, narrow glasses, and having a very scholarly air to him. And you can hear Father Sidai Moikis explain to him, I don't know. Maybe you have seen something like this before. Maybe it is a condition that you're familiar with. But I don't know if it's interfering with the powers of the lady herself. And he seems truly frightened by the possibility. And the man says, "Just relax, my old friend. I'm sure it's nothing too serious. We'll figure this out." And then he, as soon as he joins you, he looks around and he says, "Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Dean Naėllaŕian Vicari from... sorry. Yeah. I am Dean Naėllaŕian Vicari from the Lippstadt University. I believe I am here to inspect your friend. Sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
May I?"
Sure.
And you let him inspect the doctor's body as he lies there on the floor. And just his like methodological approach to it turns the this spiritual place into a more scientific place. And he mumbles to himself like, well, no iris reflex, no muscle tone, just, and after what feels like forever, he straightens up and he says, "Has your friend, by any chance, dabbled in, how shall I say, preserving things?"
I believe he did, yes. He was experimenting with animals.
Animals, you say?
I have one of his extracts here. I don't know if it's lost its potency yet, but and she hands him the Summon Nature's Ally 2 extract.
And he looks at the little bottle with a tiny little dog suspended in it, and he says, "Most interesting. And he pulls away the cloth that was covering the doctor's face, and he says, "Oh, young Arronax. I see. Well, maybe you finally did it, But I don't think that can be true. I never believed him."
Did what precisely?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm rambling. Does sound like a senile old man to you. Well,
Yes.
the problem that we're facing here is that I believe that your friend has not particularly left this plane of existence as much as he has somehow suspended his state of existence, if you pardon my metaphysical language. Are you familiar with the theory of bioelectricity?
Not really, no.
Never heard of. What is this electricity you begin with?
You mean like lightning?
Yes, correct. It's a rather amusing theory that has few subscribers, and I admit that it sounds rather ridiculous, but the proponents of this theory suggest that the entire existence of a man, elf, or any other sentient creature is just the result of tiny lightning bolts flashing between the cells that make up our body.
I'm sorry, that sounds ridiculous.
I know, and I would usually agree, and I have actually debated many of my colleagues who had who had been susceptible to such antics. But what we see here, and he shows you by getting very close down with his head to the chest of the doctor, and you see the ends of his hair stand up as he comes close. The doctor has somehow managed to store all of that lightning.
If you were only alive, because I have so many questions now for him.
As do I, believe me.
So what you are saying is that we can't revive him because he is not dead yet?
Well, I certainly the magic of this of the Lady of the Graves is no use here because she does not yet hold domain over him. I can't believe I'm actually suggesting this, but we might be able to try something. It is rather ridiculous, but Well, it's certainly worth a shot. Get me a scroll of Jolt.
Scroll of Jolt.
Scroll. Jolt.
It's a cantrip.
Sure. Emaírel will make the trip to wherever and fetch that.
Yeah, Evelyn, who is holding on to the remaining gold from the sale of the staff, is going to kind of give him the gold necessary for that, and gonna say, "This is intriguing. I'm willing to hear the old man out. The old man out. Go ahead, Emaírel."
So Emerald leaves to get the scroll while the dean stays with the party scratching his chin. He says, "How often does he drink these extracts, as you call them?"
Oh, well, sometimes he drinks them, sometimes he throws them on the ground and small dogs come out. He has his mutagen, and he drinks this on a regular basis.
Oh. And I believe that this changes his body in very dramatic ways, doesn't it?
Yes,
It's been known
honestly,
to happen.
I'm not sure what this one does exactly. But yes, it's changes his physical form, sometimes the pigmentation of his skin.
This is just, I would never have believed to see this with my own eyes, but the School of Bioelectrics suggests a principle of a capacitor, which is essentially a reservoir for this lightning energy that can be filled up all until that what they call a charge is needed at a later time. And I believe that through the rampant consumption of his various concoctions, he may have, maybe accidentally or maybe intentionally, have somehow manipulated the very makeup of his body to work as a giant, and he makes air quotes, capacitor. No one has ever been able to produce one. And of course not turn themselves into one. And
Pardon me, Dean, but I don't understand what all of this has to do with his soul, though.
well, as I tried to explain, and it's a rather ridiculous notion, but the idea is that the soul in its physical manifestation is nothing but lightning. I know it's rather confusing.
And hard to believe.
Yes. I know. I wouldn't bother talking about this if I wouldn't be standing here right in front of this. And there's only one way to prove my. Yeah. There you are. Thank you. It's only one way to prove my theory, he says. And he takes the scroll from Emaírel, which, by the way, is just 12 gold and 5 silver.
Yeah.
12 gold, 5 silver. Okay.
And he puts one hand on the doctor's chest. And you see the hair on the back of his hand stand up. And then he adjusts his glasses and reads the scroll, intoning the magical words. And with just a short little the doctor's body is jolted by a shock of electricity, his back arching and then slumping back onto the altar. And then he opens his eyes.
By this point, ho- how much time had passed
Since when?
since Arronax died?
About a day.
Okay. In that, well, in any case, he opens his eyes and he groans. No! He tries to lift his hand, but well, the strength leaves him, and he falls back on the altar. But you see how the wound on his head once again gains the similar reddish tint as it was described on the rest of his body, and starts to rapidly healing when his spontaneous healing activates, like repairing himself. Like, what? Where am I? Are we still? What? I think I lost my conscience.
Yeah, no, apparently you're full of electricity.
Lightning. He's full of lightning, Geier. Weren't you listening? It's lightning.
It's too many new words, and none of them make sense. It'll never catch on. You'll see.
You say words, but they make no sense. What is that feeling?
Fascinating, the dean says, and you hear his voice for the first time, familiar to you probably.
What? Who's... Sir? We're not in Schloss Kermak anymore, are we? Oh shit. Is it... Oh, whoa. Wait, you brought me to Temple Pharasma. I was out that serious? Oh my god, no.
Well,
But
you did look like you were gone for good.
my head.
But on the bright side, it turns out that your theories are actually proven.
My theories?
Did you actually intend to do this, young Arronax?
You mean to preserve myself from beyond dying and conquer the living flesh? No, I'm sorry. I'm afraid this was somewhat unintended consequence of my family recipes.
I see.
But I'm sure I will. Yeah, you know what? I think I won't explore this in more detail, because I really don't want to repeat this experience.
Oh, what a pity. I would have hoped to get some insights from you about how this came about, but apparently
Well, I mean,
you just got lucky, he says.
Well, no, in his defense, he's usually a very diligent when it comes to note taking, but it's apparently very difficult to take notes when he's dead.
well, let's. At this point, Arronax regains somewhat a bit of his strength to actually sit up on the altar, and he leans on his knees, and his head hangs low as he takes deep breaths. Let's make a deal, sir. If I ever make it out alive again, I will write my next thesis about the concepts of immortality, and maybe we could make me like what's the next after the doctor?
Well, Doctor, your work has always been a little empirical for my taste, and I would hope that this condition that you put yourself in would be systematically analyzed at some point. It's really unfortunate that this is just an accident of sorts.
Yeah, Doctor still gathers his bearings a little bit, and but he's visibly wounded by morally by his disappointment. And says, "Well, what can I say? This we're pushing the science here on the forefront, and not, but."
Just a one word of caution. Since you apparently don't know anything about how this happened, I would not rely on you entering that suspended state again if anything would happen to you.
Well, this is the part where we both agree. Although, yes. On the other hand, wait. I think I'm right. At this point, Doctor touches his head and realizes that there is no longer a breach in his skull. Oh, it healed again. Could this be the reason? I mean, at this point he will stand up, try to stand up and stretch a little bit, but he will what's the word again? He will wobble on his legs and lean back on the altar. Wait, this it's coming back to me, I believe. He looks at Geier. Yeah, Geier, you remember the Harrow Stone, right?
I do.
Back when poor Crow finally beat his last, we were in a battle against this. What was his name? He was a horrible person. Yeah, I believe at that point at one point I was suddenly manifested the ability to this guy manifested the ability to spontaneously heal my wounds. I tried to replicate that at one point or another, but it didn't really kick off until now. And even when it kicked off, when we finally reached Schloss Kermak, I kind of hoped it would provide me with somewhat of an edge. Well, it didn't.
Well, as they say, the best plans never survive contact with the enemy.
Indeed.
Speaking of contact with the enemy, would you consider yourself quite recovered, Doctor?
Yes,
At which,
any lingering after effects?
yeah, which are the lingering after effects, by the way?
The regular, so 2 temporary. But what is it? The same after effects that you would have from Race Dead. It's like 2 negative levels.
And I am in my in 1 hit point, right? Technically, or at half hit points.
It's your current HD. So 6.
It's 6 and plus 15 from my rapid healing. It would be 21.
Mm-hmm.
Lady
Evelyn will. Sorry, go ahead.
You seem to exhibit some sort of divinatory powers. Can you use those again to figure out if going back as soon as possible is the best course of action, or if we can take the time to prepare a bit better.
Unfortunately, it takes some time for me to make contact with the spirits that remain ambient in an area, and well, I've exhausted my ability for the time being. It would take several more days, in which time we would find out our answer if it was prudent to return or not anyway.
Yeah, at this point, Doctor will finally gather him. Will conduct an examination of himself, and well, I feel that I'm almost at my full capacity as far as my mortal wound goes, but I still yet feel very, very weak. Like, well, like I'm sort of out of charge. If you wish to continue electric epithet analogies.
Mortals.
You want
I
to
expect we'll have to take care of that as well. Do we have? Are you capable, Father Sidamoicus, of performing the necessary rites?
Well, if the blessing of the lady shall help this one, then I'm certainly prepared to try.
What is that? Another that's what 1,000.
I've already deducted the total for raise death plus restoration.
Okay.
Deducted it from what?
From the 8,000 for the staff, and I added the rest in the party loot.
Okay.
Okay.
So,
Evelyn will
one-
remove the gold from her own purse then.
So only one negative level remains
Mhm.
for now.
yes, and once the rite is performed, Arronax will shake up and say, "Oh, that's." I think this was the first time I've actually felt a touch of pharasma in my inside. Well, thank you.
Well,
Father.
this was certainly exciting, the dean says, but I have a lecture coming up.
Well,
Doctor,
yes.
if you ever get a chance to more thoroughly look into your unique condition, please stop by my lab. I would be very interested to help you find out what happened.
Well, sir, I make no promises, but I will keep it in mind.
Very well. Good day.
Good day.
Dean, before you
Oh.
leave,
Yes.
at Lepidstadt University, do you happen to know any of your colleagues who might be well versed in the history of the county or its political activities over the years?
Why, yes, of course. I would say that we have many capacities on these particular subjects. Anything, any particular time period you're interested in?
Well, I have recently developed an interest in the history and experiences of the former Count Karamark, before, of course, the revolution. And so his history since the conversion to the Palatinate.
I see. Yes, you would certainly find many scholarly books on the issues in the Laurel Gauge Library on campus. I'll make sure to leave a note that you will be able to have to use the library.
My thanks to you, Dean. It is
Does that invitation extend to the whole party?
He looks at the four of you, and he says, "Well, lady, if you vouch for your companions."
I do promise to wipe my boots on the way in.
They prove themselves surprisingly useful on occasion, and I'm not one for hitting the books myself, so.
And with a thirst for knowledge, you can assume it was the company of this Dr. Aronax that has awoken this thirst of knowledge in us. Curiosity, so to say. You wouldn't deny people the search for knowledge?
I am flattered.
Evelyn, give me a diplomacy check, and Geier can help.
I will. There is more to this world than what meets the eye, that is clear to see. Sorry, I forgot to roll. Diplomacy.
What is this?
Okay. He hesitates for a second, and then says, "Very well. As long as you don't remove any books from the library itself, you and your companions shall be able to use it at your preference."
Of course, we shall show the utmost deference to your academic collection.
Excellent. Well, I'm running late. Goodbye. And so he takes his leave. Okay, so do you want to stop by the library, or do you want to head back to the Schloss right away?
I think the library is more of a downtime activity.
I mean, I feel like it would be better to be a little bit more informed about what the heck we're getting ourselves into, considering everything we've faced so far.
So we're doing the Witcher
Emaírel-
approach.
Yeah, Emaírel would like to spend a couple of days around here and to shuffle some stuff around gear-wise so that he's more prepared for combat next time.
And and Arronax in this case will just brew himself some extracts and will heal himself back to his full, if a bit reduced, hit points.
So a couple of days in town to research and prepare before we head back out.
Okay. How many days are you looking at?
How long would it take Aronax to recover? Just a day or 2 days or what?
Well, it's basically only 1 day to prepare my healing extracts, and that will be it. And the next day,
Well, the negative level
negative level
can't be
will,
removed until in a week.
Yeah, negative level is stuck for a week. Yes.
Does he get some sort of save on that for it to be permanent, or is it just it's permanent?
No, it's just permanent in this case.
Oh. What a shame.
Well, maybe if you jolt him again, he will be energized, but I wouldn't bet on it.
Yeah. I mean, if it's just 1 day, Evelyn personally wouldn't want to wait too long. Like 1 day would be good for her. If that's what it takes for the doctor to recover.
Okay. I have in my possession cure moderate wounds potions. I believe you have taken them, right?
You know, I took all of the extracts and the mutagen, but I don't think I specifically said I took any potions, so they might still be in your possession.
Mm-hmm. it's just to to know what I have on my person for now.
I think you still have those.
And because I'm thinking about using the rest of the day to brew some of the potions.
Okay. Well, if we have one day, then Evelyn would spend it trying to do some research. I will also point out for some of you that our wand of curing wounds is dead. I
That's
don't know what other healing precautions you need take.
Well, we do have enough gold for one now.
A pity to waste it on such a thing, but I suppose if it keeps you all breathing.
As far as I can tell, breathing is necessary.
By and large.
Emaírel is going to turn to the group and ask, would you be okay with me exchanging this dagger for other combat gear? And he's talking about the dagger we got from the what were they called?
Dagger of Shape Changer Bane.
The yes, that unsavory crew that we aided, quote unquote. Oh, I see no reason why you shouldn't exchange it for something more useful to yourself. You are our number one fighter, as it were. Why don't you sell Geier's pet while you're at it? That was also a gift to us from them, wasn't it?
That is not for sale.
The damn thing
Also,
gets
I
gold
very
from
much doubt you'd find a proper buyer for it. It keeps shitting on my shoulder.
It keeps shitting on my cushions is the real problem, Geier.
Well, I mean, birds don't really know about etiquette, and housebreaking a bird is more difficult than I anticipated.
I'm getting tired of prestidigitating your leavings away.
I'm sorry I ruffled your feathers.
Oh, I see we've graduated from grave-related puns to bird-related puns. Very impressive, Geier. Very impressive.
Could not resist.
Is there is there anything that Evelyn can discover in the libraries while people are buying and selling and brewing?
Okay, so first of all, how many days are you intending to spend in Lippstadt?
I mean,
I
I
thought
was
we were
saying
just
just
going to do the
one.
one, no? Yeah. I thought we were just doing one. Well,
So the rest
Aronax
of the day.
recuperated and we did some light reading.
Okay.
So yeah, I suppose so. Something like this. If we are if Arronax is awoken, it's somewhat of the morning, then we spend the day, and the next day we go forth.
Okay. And Evelyn is interested in what exactly when she does the research at the library? What sort of topics? I mean, history of Ustalav is what I got.
I mean, she's looking specifically into Karamark and trying to see what she can find out about him.
Okay.
The Schloss itself, the history of the man, any of his more unusual interests or hobbies.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Give me an ability and a knowledge history, and you can take 10, of course, if you like.
I will take 10. Well, you said one or the other?
No, both.
Okay. I'll take 10 on the nobility for a 21.
Okay. And roll for history. Okay. All right. So the library is indeed extensive. The Laurel Gage Library has an unrivaled collection of books on the conflict-ridden history of Ustalav. But you're not really interested in the early days of savagery, and more into the more recent history that involves, or that may involve, Alpon Karamark himself. And you come across the family name as the ruling family of the province of Vieland, of which Lippstadt is the capital. And you read a little bit about the troubled times some 40 years ago, when 4670, when what started as a revolt in Lotsery only, which is a neighboring county, actually spilled over into Vieland and what's the third one called?
Canterwall.
And Canterwall.
Well, it's currently Canterwall.
Yes, and it was back then too. And all of these three counties overthrew the ruling families in a civil uprising, essentially, and formed what's now called the Palatinates. Karamark himself is just a footnote in these stories. It doesn't seem like he put up much of a fight. When you look at other parts of Ustalav, for example, the southern parts, where a civil war, what's known as the War Without Rivals, just 30 years ago, left an entire stretch of land, a desolated wasteland that's now known as the Furrows.
The Furrows, yes.
When you think of that as the reaction to uprising and to conflict, then maybe it was very wise of Lord Karamark to simply step down and let the people take over. You search for some more personal accounts about the man himself, his immediate family, and you're having a hard time. Even though the library does deal with literature on noble families and everything, but the man must have been a very reclusive sort. But here and there, you can piece some things together, and you learn that he was known to be quite eccentric, even before the overthrow of his rule. His Schloss, which is also known as the Hanging House, is an architectural testament to his eccentricity. I mean, you've seen how it is built into this, or above a waterfall, into the walls of a gorge.
Did he build it himself?
That's what you get from the accounts, that he had it built. He didn't build it with his own hands, but he somehow had it built when he was fully in charge of the county and had the workforce at his disposal. But you find a short mentioning of the time after his Schloss was constructed, and you learn that he was quite paranoid and that he actually, as soon as the building was built, he forced everyone out, all the helping hands, and it is rumored that parts of his castle are trapped these days, and that he's constructed numerous guardian creatures to serve and protect him.
Well, that makes sense.
Just one more moment. You find another treatise by an historian about the time of the Palatinates when they were formed, and the author makes the point that it was actually inevitable that a political revolution would happen, since Karamark was apparently unable to sire a son. Yeah, something that would have been necessary for him to actually pass on the rule back in those days.
Had he ever considered
Well-
adoption?
I think he's considered other means of producing an heir. Anything that might indicate a link between the Count, the former Count, and the Sea Sage effigy.
Sorry, one more thing.
Oh, go ahead.
The author of that treatise mentions that the Count only one time came close to actually having a son, but his wife Cerise, as is her name, died during childbirth, and both her and his son were lost. You look for connections between the Count and a sea sage effigy, but you find no mention of any such item.
Cerise. Okay. I guess we already kind of spoke with the other staff at the university when we first got here, so
Yeah. Okay, so any shopping that you want to get done before you move out again?
Yes. So first, Emaírel is going to try to sell the dagger, which should fetch 4,150 GPs, I believe.
Yep. That's no problem in a city like Lippstadt.
Now the question is, he would like to enhance his shield and breastplate up to +1.
Okay,
I
enhancing it
assume-
would take time.
I think it's a 1 day per +1, I believe.
Is it? It would usually be 1 day per 1,000 P.
Yeah, and a +1 for armors is 1,000. Well,
Oh,
the
it's
first +1 is 1,000.
it's not magic currently. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, then that would actually work.
Okay, so the question is, can he do both in parallel
Sure.
at different
Yeah.
shops?
It's possible.
Okay, then well,
I mean,
that's what he will do.
Lippstadt is a busy town, so it's a small city, but still.
Okay, if we only have the 1 day, that's what he will do. And I will do the math regarding the gold. And that's it.
Okay.
what was our Karamark's first name again?
Schloss.
No, Alpon.
No, Schloss is the castle.
Oh. I'm very scatterbrained right now.
Sorry, Sam. So, what armor did you enhance?
Okay, so he has a dark wood shield, which is already masterwork.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Yeah.
would be just 1000 GP to enhance it.
Yes.
He has a regular breastplate that he would need to have masterwork masterwork transformation cast on, and then made +1.
Okay. Would it make sense to just get a +1 armor to begin with?
Yeah, but he's attached to his own armor from his time in the militia and all that.
Oh, okay.
It's got sentimental value.
Okay. Okay.
And I think that's it.
All right. Anything else you want to do in town?
Geier will take the opportunity to read up a little bit and just better get acquainted with this whole change he's going through. Not adolescence, I mean sorcery. And yeah, just immerse himself in as much arcana and occultism and history and theory of sorcery as he can.
Okay.
Just purely theoretical.
Yeah. And okay, so you do that for the day. But what you take away from it, like, you go at it as with like a scholarly mindset, thinking that by studying this, it would help you understand what you're going through.
Yeah, just
But-
put a name on it.
Yes, but as you read all of these books, all of these so-called mages, you just get frustrated with them. They keep on dancing around the point of it. They're like just beating around the bush, and they're not really getting it. There's so much theorizing about it instead of just doing it. Yeah, for you.
No first-hand experience.
Yeah, and for you, when you cast your spells, it's just, I mean, sometimes they surprise you, but once you understood them, or once you've done it, it just makes sense to you, and you kind of feel disconnected from these authors in the way that they talk about magic, and it doesn't make sense to you, and it kind of frustrates you.
I will have to find my answers elsewhere.
Evelyn would like to also purchase a, if possible, a sword that's disguised as a parasol. It's essentially a sword cane, but in parasol form.
Ooh. Interesting. It's a rather peculiar item. So,
It doesn't actually exist. She just wants a sword cane. That
yeah, I know. Let's give it a 75% chance. To her surprise, probably, she finds one such item.
just because she's found herself in a couple of situations where she's needed a weapon. Yeah, she's gonna pick that up. So 45 gold. She's also gonna look for a somewhat less elegant hand crossbow.
Yeah, that's no problem to obtain.
Yeah.
Is your inflict wand still charged?
Yes, still in pretty good shape, I would say.
Good.
Okay, ready to move on?
Oh, I think so.
Let me just. So we do purchase CLW2, so let me just deduct that. And before we leave, Emaírel is going to swing back by the Cathedral of Pharasma one last time to request a minor blessing of Cure Light Wounds.
And you shall receive that.
Lady Evelyn, I believe you know how to use these. And he's gonna hand her the very holy wand.
Geier is also good at magical devices.
Wait, so it's a wand of cure light wounds?
Didn't she use one at some point?
I mean, yeah, I have been.
Well, in that case, he's gonna hand her a brand new one.
She kind of scowls at it and fishes around, pulls out a kerchief and takes it from him. Doesn't touch it directly.
Do
If
you want me to hold on
insist.
for that for you?
No, I suppose you'll probably be busy fidgeting around with your other bones and intestines and fetishes and whatnot.
Okay. Are we ready to head back?
Yep. One question: the casting of Cure Light Wounds would be at which caster level?
Well, I suppose
5th or higher. So if you want it at 5th, you can pay for it at 5th.
Okay.
So it's a brand new, fully charged wand of cure light wounds, right?
Yeah.
But it should be
Careful where you
1d8.
point that.
Oh wow,
Sam.
yeah. No.
Sorry, what?
That was directed at Sam.
Oh, never mind.
Nice. All right. So late the next day, after Emaírel was finally able to pick up both of his enchanted items, you meet back at Lady Evelyn's coach, where her manservant has already been waiting for you and gruffly opens the door for her and then steps away before you can get on the coach and takes a seat in the driver's seat.
Well, thanks, Mr. Montague. Well, gentlemen, shall we try once again?
I mean, I'd say we die only once, but you two have proved me wrong twice.
Arronax is like not amused at all by this whole perspective of returning, but well, unfinished business is unfinished business.
The ride on the coach is slowly getting familiar to you as you follow the river into that gorge at the end of which the Schloss moves into view. The sight just as dramatic as the first time you caught it. Maybe even a little more so, because you get there late at night. The sky dark, almost purple, with heavy clouds blocking the moon. Every now and then it manages to shine its pale light through, but most of the time it is very, very dark. As you get to the Schloss, you brace yourself if maybe any other trolls came back, or if any new threat has moved into the gatehouse, but fortunately no such thing happened, and you carefully make your way across that low bridge until you get to the main entrance of the manse.
So what about the door? Is it still open?
It's shut. You shot it behind you when you left.
Is it still enchanted?
No, it is not.
Doesn't look any more inviting anyway.
Yeah. Arronax still holds the bottle of his mutagen on the ready, and well, it doesn't seem that that guard creature was repaired or returned. So, who wishes to go first?
Certainly not me.
I suggest Emaírel. He seems to be most adept.
And did some good shopping lately.
Yes.
Yes, I see he's been quite active with our coin.
Let's
see him put it to good use.
Let's not begrudge a man for his precaution. Speaking of precaution, so you have a shield now, which is enhanced. How strong is it enhanced?
+1.
And it is a Darkwood shield, so in total it would be +2, right?
You mean the AC bonus that I get from it?
Yes, yes.
It's a total of 4.
Oh, so basically shield extract will do nothing for you.
Yeah.
Well, more for me. Yeah, that's a good news, right?
As long as you are between me...
What?
Indeed.
Yes.
As long as you're between me and them, it is very good news.
Well, in that case, yes, let's have Mr. Emaírel go first, and we'll cover you from a safe distance. And at this point, Arronax will finally take his mutagen, and his skin once again will gain the copperish tint that now you're all familiar with. And
now the copper makes sense too.
Now that you mention it. So yeah, my constitution bonus is +2, and my hit points also increase a little bit. By 12.
So who's gonna open the door? Who's gonna take the lead?
Emaírel.
All right.
Okay.
I forgot to roll my unstable mutagen. Yay! It doesn't apply a penalty score to my mental score. So
Nice.
yes.
Okay.
I finally.
Emaírel takes the lead and opens the door. Do you find the great hall in a very orderly state? Gone is the the pool of blood that the doctor was in. The junk remains of the strange contraption are gone too, and even the scratchings in the in the floorboard have been sanded off, and everything looks just in a very tidy, pristine condition. Arronax, a perception check.
1 moment.
You hear the scraping of a metal blade over a hard surface from somewhere deeper within the building.
They're still here. They're still here.
What did you expect for them to just leave?
I don't know. I mean, they're mindless
Do
creatures.
do the sounds come from one of the doors in particular?
Give me a perception check. They're kind of echoing through the level through the floor, so it's certainly on this floor, not on the upper floor, and somewhere to the northeast of the building, but you can't quite say where exactly.
By the way, can you remind me / can Arronax remember when the last time he tried to blast that construct with his bombs? Did it actually do any damage, or it was completely resistant to it?
It did damage.
Okay. That's small consolation, I suppose. Yeah, I mean, Lady Evelyn is more badass with a sword than Dr. Arronax, I suppose.
Well, I guess we enter the room and check. So there was a door on the.
There are 3 doors that leave this room. 2 in the northern, to the left and right of the fireplace. To the left is where the broom came prancing out of. There's another door in the right-hand wall, in the east wall of this room, right next to a set of stairs that leads to the first floor.
What do you think? Ground floor first?
Yeah, I suppose that would be the prudent way of doing it.
Let's check out the broom
one
room.
step at a time.
What broom room?
Oh, well, when you were out, an animated broom came from this door and started tidying up.
Huh.
Emaírel is going to give just a quick look over to the door. And if
nothing suspicious.
then he is going to try and open it.
It's unlocked and it opens quite easily. The doors are in, as is the room, in good condition. The room beyond the door is rather small. It's just a 10 by 10 storage room of some sort, but there's also a door in the northern wall and a door in the eastern wall of this room. In the storage room, you find wait, I'm getting confused here. Oh, sorry. It's the room to the right of the fireplace is where the
Yeah.
it's a 10 by 10 foot room, and there's a door in the west wall, and the room itself is, however, a well-stocked wine cellar. Numerous bottles of wine lining the walls.
Am I supposed to be on the map?
No, there is no map.
Oh, okay.
Is that a good wine?
Give me an appraise
I did.
or anything if you have any. Oh, there it is. Well, you don't really know much, but they have nice labels.
Yeah. Apparently, we only drink the cheapest wine, so we can tell. Well, I guess we will have a sip after we're done with this place.
So there's two other door. There's the stairway, right, and there's another door.
I think we're past the staircase now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're in the room where the broom came from.
Yes.
Oh,
The broom closet.
but it's just a closet, right?
No. The broom came out of this room, but as it turns out, the room that it came out of is not a broom closet, but a wine cellar.
Right, it's a wine cellar.
And
Is there
there are still more doors that lead out of this room, so it's possible that one of the adjacent rooms would be a broom room. One thing you notice, though, is that this room is noticeably cool, and you realize that there are some pipes that are running along the walls, along the floor, and you can hear running water rushing through those pipes. And they're quite cool,
Evelyn?
lowering the room's temperature.
Seems the Count is making use of the flowing water to facilitate cooling of his cellar here. Most ingenious for wine. A smart fellow, in case we weren't already aware.
I think that was implied from the beginning.
Apparently it was, apparently he was planning this place from the ground up. I suppose he's making use of this mountain river, which is quite cold, as I can attest myself. To chill this place as well.
Emaírel is going to check the doors going out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Do be careful, there are traps, as we've already experienced. There's likely more.
Yeah, but Emaírel, you check one of the doors. Doesn't seem to be a trap here.
And he's going to try it.
And it opens. Which one, the northern or the western wall?
Let's say the northern.
Okay. The door opens just as easily as the other one, and you find beyond a slightly larger room, which is 20 feet by 10 feet. Again, there are two more doors that lead out of this room, one in the west wall, one in the east wall. And there's a a lingering smell of beeswax in the air, and the room itself contains mops, brooms, torches, and all manners of household tools.
Mm-hmm.
Evelyn glances around.
Nothing of interest, just mundane stuff like that.
Obviously a cleaning closet. Well, I suggest we head west.
Yes, let's not linger.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, no, actually, before, I will like to give it a bit of a closer look.
Geier, what are you looking at? You're wasting our time. There's clearly nothing here.
Exactly. So, what's the best place to hide something?
And Gaia goes, aha! And pushes a mop out of the way, only to find an overturned bucket.
See? No.
Yes, there are traces of my blood on this bucket.
I'm taking
Brilliant.
the bucket.
Brilliant deduction.
Geier is taking the bucket.
Oh well, never know what might be useful in this.
Yeah, we might carry the rest of one of us in this and get it revived back in Lepidstad.
Evelyn's going to take the pause here to pass out, since I keep forgetting to do this in advance. She's going to pass out Mesmeric Mirror on all three of them, and then she's going to put Mesmeric Mirror and her other thing on herself, the one she always does.
Mask of Misery.
1 second. Yes, thank you. Mask Misery.
And once everyone is ready, Emaṛel will try the west door.
Okay. And beyond the door, there's a slightly larger room, 20 by 30 feet, and it's a kitchen. It contains a roaring stove, several workbenches, and a spice cabinet. Give me a knowledge local check.
Did anyone write down how exactly we went? It was west.
Northwest.
Correct. And Emaṛel, you recognize the style of the spice cabinet. There are some the wooden frame is adorned with dragons, but not just regular dragons, but the exotic-looking Tian dragons from the far east of Naėllaŕian. So this is probably quite an expensive collection of spices. Besides that spice cabinet, somewhere near the stove, there's a bell hanging from a string on the wall, and the string disappears in the wall.
It's one of those fancy bell things, isn't it? To call in servants.
And
Good job, Doctor. That's exactly what it is.
And no exits from here apart from where we came from.
There's a door to the south.
Ought we to circle back around?
I guess let's check.
Okay. You open the door to the south, and a breeze of cool air washes over you as you move into a a room that is filled with excellent foodstuffs of all sorts. There's a door to the south and a door to the east.
Well, I think we know where the door east is heading. Let's head back to the main chamber, shall we?
The one to the south would be the one heading to the main chamber, right?
Correct.
Wouldn't it be the one chamber between the wine cellar and this one?
Well, I guess we can always just check.
I believe we're currently adjacent to the wine cellar.
I mean, it's more like... no, there should be another room, I believe. Because it is...
But if we try the door,
no, you're right, it is probably wine cellar.
So, what do you do?
South it is.
Okay, so you exit through the south door and you find yourself back in the Great Hall.
Well, our
there
brilliant
is-
deduction was correct.
there is one door that we did not try.
Indeed, and one broom that we did not encounter. Perhaps we ought to go back and try that. Yep.
So you head back to the broom closet, or
Yeah.
the household storeroom, and you look around, and I mean, they're just brooms, but you're pretty sure that the broom that came wandering out through the door looked just like the broom that is sitting there right in front of you. Totally inanimate.
Evelyn will detect magic on it.
There is no magic in this room.
So the room that we had not reached last time is the one where there's only rooms.
Well, never mind. I suppose we ought to head upstairs. Evelyn's gonna check this broom closet a little more carefully, though, before she goes.
Well, don't forget that there's another door to the east of this room.
Well, that's the one we
Oh,
were asking.
I thought
Yeah.
that's the door. I thought that's the room we were inspecting.
Yeah, that was the intention, I believe, yeah.
We went back into the cleaning supply room, and
Yes.
we went to the eastern door.
I did not catch you saying that.
Well, Basil's...
Okay. So you go through, or you open the eastern door and find a dining hall, a large room with a vaulted ceiling adorned with gilt, a pair of halberds hanging above a huge lit fireplace in the far wall, and a great dining table and 12 chairs that take up the center of the room. But the large, heavy-looking dining table has been moved to the wall, pushed against the wall to wedge in to squeeze one of those apparatus, one of those constructs, just like the one that you fought in the entrance hall. And this one is currently stuck between this heavy table and the building's wall, and it's sort of it has its claws on the table, and it's scratching over the table's surface with its blade-like, well, fingers of some sorts. And give me a perception check or a sense motive check. Okay. And it just scratches over the surface of that table, apparently unable to move.
Well, good. That means it is unable to defend itself from us trying to kill it, right?
Yeah, but
Hold on, Doctor. I know you seek vengeance, but is there any indication of how this giant table was shoved? Like, are there like skid marks on the ground or something? Like,
Well, it looks like there once was some damage to the floorboards, and you can see the dents in the boards where that heavy table rested for probably a long time. But it looks like the scratch marks have been sanded down, polished away.
I could imagine our friend Beast of Lepidstadt being able to do something like this.
can Evelyn's going to approach a little closer and see if she can see what it's scratching in the table. She's going to stay well out of the thing's reach, though, based on what she saw of the first monstrosity.
Okay. Give me a perception check. Okay, it's, good enough. It doesn't seem to scratch anything into the table, but you see a board, a chalkboard made of a piece of slate that is just out of reach of the creature's claws, and you get the impression that it's trying to get to it.
I'll mage hand it a little closer, the chalk and the board.
Well, there's no chalk. It's just a piece of slate, basically.
Oh, sorry. Mage hand
Uh,
the slate over.
Yeah, you mage hand it a little closer, and the creature with like one extended blade just narrowly manages to hold on to it and get a hold of it, and then furiously starts scratching on the thing. It's an ear-piercing sound as its claws scratch over the piece of slate, and it starts spelling out HELLO and turns the slate to you.
Oh, wonderful!
bit.
It can communicate.
And then after it gets the sense that you've read what it did, it turns it back and it kind of wipes the slate clean, and then starts over. I am in A, turning it around, letting you read it, wiping it clean again. A bit of A, turning it around, letting you read it, wiping it clean. Predicament here, turning it around for you to read it, wiping it clean again. Please help.
Evelyn like, as she's watching this slowly being spelled out, she's like, her mouth drops for a second, and then she kind of remembers her manners, and she says, "Do you have a name?"
And it wipes the slate clean. And it just writes no.
If we let you out, will you attack us?
And it pauses for a second, and even with its strange anatomy, you get the sense that it is confused, and it wipes the slate clean, and it just puts one big question mark on it.
Will you try to kill us if we release you? Will you use your claws to slice us to ribbons?
And it wipes the slate clean and writes, "Of course not." And
Well,
you,
it seems friendly enough.
and you have an impossible time reading that creature's expression because it doesn't have one.
I don't believe it.
Your friend in the front of the mansion killed our friend earlier. Why should we trust you? You thing.
And it spells, "We were built to serve, not kill, only defend."
Well, you see, that's great and all, but it's not a very good way to welcome guests.
Give me a what would that be?
Let's just leave it.
Give me a will save. Why not? $19. When you read that, you kind of
Is
think
this
back.
is this mind affecting, by the way?
No.
Okay.
It's just that I was looking for something to represent the ability to
Sure.
to have an insight, a realization, and I guess
Okay.
will save sort of makes sense in that case. And you look back to the situation, what it was when you stormed into, or when you entered the main hall, and what happened was that you came in, the thing started scratching something into the floor, started moving towards you, and the next thing, the doctor chugged a bomb at it.
Well,
So because you were just telling the thing like that's not a way to greet guests, you kind of, from the reading this creature's writing, presenting itself as just a servant here, you realize that the situation must have looked completely different from the other side of the table.
Look, there's only so many times we can announce our presence and friendly intentions. But nonetheless, we were invited here by the so-called Beast of Lepidstadt to visit with its quote-unquote father, I believe, Count Karamark.
Wipes the slate clean. Yes, they are here. Wipe. In the tower.
Wait, they're both here? Alpun and the Beast?
Well, the beast is dead.
As far as we know,
He said
at least
they.
it's here.
Plural.
Did you know the beast is dead?
Wipes it clean. No.
Did someone else have something to say?
Just leave it.
Will you guide us to where they are and help us bypass any defenses?
And it wipes the slate clean and says, I'm still stuck.
If we were to free you,
Just leave it.
And it
Just-
wipes it again and it says, I am not allowed, wipes it clean, out of the manse.
Can you guide us through the manse to the door that we will need to exit through to reach the tower?
And it wipes the slate clean and then sketches out the floor plan of the building. And it makes a note. In one of the walls of the room you are in right now, in the northwestern corner, it marks a spot. And you look over there, and there's just a segment of the wall. But in the floor plan, it draws a door.
Emaírel will head over there and try to see if anything moves.
Okay, give me a perception check. 22. Yeah, so you carefully feel the wall, and yeah, it's kind of weird because you can clearly hear the waterfalls from outside more clearly in this spot. And you feel around, and finally, in one of the oak panels, you spot a little hidden catch, and you manage to open a secret door leading to a short hallway that ends in another door.
What do you say? Should we free it?
No.
Evelyn tries to look down that hallway for any sign of traps or anything.
Nothing.
She'll turn back to the construct. What is on the second floor?
Wipes the slate clean and then writes guest rooms. Wipes it again. Master bedroom. Wipes it clean again. And I believe that's that. Yeah, that's that.
Are there any other secret doors in the second level or anywhere else in the manse?
It marks 2 more spots in the southern wall of the dining room. First, it resketches the dining room floor plan, and then it spots, points out 2 more. But Emaírel, well, the first one, you find a secret door, and you open it, and beyond is a small library with a couple of shelves crammed with books that line the walls of this room. And there's a comfortable leather chair sitting in the room's center. But it's you're not quite sure why there's a secret door here, though, and one that is so hard to find as well, because there's also a door on the far side of this room to the south. Just a regular door.
On the side of the library.
The second place that the construct marked for you, you can't find anything.
Even with
Evelyn will check that area out.
Yeah, but maybe Emaṛel got distracted because you do actually find a very well hidden secret door that leads to a smoking room with two plush chairs that sit around a small lit fire, tobacco stains everywhere. Numerous tobacco jars stand on a shelf next to a pipe rack filled with strange pipes, and there are quite a lot of exotic smells in the air. But this room too has a regular door in the southern wall. And you know from the floor plan that the construct sketched for you that those doors will just connect to a short hallway that would take you back to the entrance hall.
Hmm.
And that would be the
Perhaps-
one next to the
Next to the chairs,
Staircase.
stairs. Yep, yep.
okay.
Perhaps the Herr Karamark simply liked to make a dramatic appearance into his dining room.
Emaṛel is going to do a quick detect magic on those two rooms.
Nothing registers.
Evelyn's going to return to the construct and say, "Do you know why there are secret doors here? Why the hidden entrance into these rooms?"
And it wipes the slate clean and writes, because the wipes it clean. Master build it.
Makes sense.
They weren't kidding about the eccentric part.
Does that table look like something Emaṛel could move?
Hold on a moment, Emaṛel.
He's not doing it. It's just considering if it's feasible for him to do.
Your strength is 14, right?
18.
80?
Yep.
Ah, why do I have you at 40?
Well, 14 is from point buy, but the transmutation implement grants me a +4 to 1 physical stat enhancement bonus.
Oh yeah, it just doesn't show that. Yeah, with an 18 in strength, I'm sure you could move.
Evelyn turns to the construct again and says, "How did you end up in this situation? Stuck like this?"
And it wipes the slate clean. And it writes, the beast was angry.
Angry about what exactly?
Wiped the slate clean and said, about his brother.
Oh,
And that's the end of today's session.
dun dun dun. Okay.